Good morning, everyone. Today is Saturday, the 7th February 2026, and it's the 218th session of Mindfulness for Beginners in English, conducted by Nissarana. I would like to welcome Venerable Homagama DhammaKusala Thero for this session from Nissarana, as usual. Good morning, everyone. Today I'm really sorry. So, yeah, a bit of a technical difficulty there. We would also like to welcome everyone who's joining into this live session via Zoom and on your YouTube live stream, and those who are going to watch this later. So our program usually starts with an in-session practice of mindfulness meditation guided by DhammaKusala Thero, and then we will move on to the talk on today's topic, which is it's not about the treasure but who you are to become. That's the topic for today. And finally, we will be moving on to the Q&A session and the reports from listeners. And hopefully, Venerable DhammaKusala Thero will guide us. And that is the flow of the program. So without further ado, I would like to invite Venerable DhammaKusala Thero to start the in-session practice of mindfulness.
Thanks, Narendra. Hello, everyone. We'll get started with a mindful walking session. And I know that most of you are already familiar about mindful walking. But if there are newcomers, we'll give some guidance and all of us can join for a walking session. And for this, feel free to turn on video and join more actively. What are we going to do? We select some space where we can walk in a comfortable manner, and we start our walking. We walk back and forth in that selected space, and while walking, we try to feel the feet. That's our anchor for the attention. Whenever you feel the feet, you are assured that you are mindful. So you walk in a comfortable manner, and while walking, you try to feel your feet. Time to time, thoughts surrounding sounds, sights, these things grab your attention. You forget your feet, but that's okay. Once again, you can catch it. And once again, you can feel the feet. That way, repetitively, our attention gets carried away with various things, but we realize it and we return our attention back to the feet sensations. So that's the basic practice. All of us, let's go join a walking session. And when you hear the bell sound, you can return back to your seats.
Okay.
Yes, that's it for our walk session. Narindu, you can take over.
Okay. Thank you very much, Swaminathan. So that concludes our session mindfulness practice for this morning. Next is the Dhamma talk. And the topic for this week is it's not about the treasure, but who you are to become. It's not about the treasure, but who you are to become. So I would like to invite Venerable DhammaKusala Thero once again for the Dhamma talk. Swaminathan.
Yes, so this is a fresh topic and that we are starting today. And in order to explain this, let's think about a present, a gift that you receive. Usually, we don't like to put the required work for receiving some gift or receiving some present. Instead, we would simply like to receive it without really putting up the work or without really earning it. We are always trying to find shortcuts. That's what we do. Whether it's earning money, or whether it's your relationships, or whether it's some other aspects in your life, you don't like to put up the work or the effort that's required. Instead, you would prefer taking shortcuts, getting it without really earning it, right? So many people, if someone give them a present, then they would like it, right? Whether this present is earned, it's a different matter. So that way, most of our mentalities, we try to acquire things without earning them, without putting up the real effort and time that is needed for it, right? So that's why it says it is more generous to accept a present than to give a one. We think that giving a present is generous. But in reality, if the receiver is not ready to accept the present, then the giver's generosity is wasted. Because the receiver is not ready, the receiver hasn't earned the present. Right? So that type of idea is there for this week. It's a fresh topic that we are starting. So it talks about the journey. The journey that will transform us. So it says it's not about the treasure, but who you are to become. Right? So this whole journey, it's not about the destination. Instead, by simply traveling this path, what type of a transformation you will go through. That's the whole idea about the path or the practice. It's not about attaining Nibbana. But instead, when you take this path, what type of a transformation that you will go through. That very transformation is called the Nibbana. Right? So most people, they take this as a destination, as a goal. But that approach is wrong. Instead, what you have to do is simply take it as a journey. This very journey will transform you. You know, most of you know Adam's Peak in Sri Lanka. right? So many pilgrims, they go on this journey, and it might take probably like 12 or so hours for you to take that whole journey, depending on the path that you're taking, right? So let's say if you are traveling in night, you feel cold, all the insects, mosquitoes are there, they are biting, and you are exhausted, your body is tired. So most people, they would prefer having Buddha's footstep on some place that is easily accessible. Maybe if you keep it in Colombo, we can easily go and visit. Pay respect to the Buddha's footprint. That way people will think. But taking that whole journey, putting up effort, enduring cold and all the mosquito bites, that's the whole idea about pilgrimage. Right? If it was easily accessible, then you won't get anywhere. It won't develop your faith. It wouldn't add any merits to your life. Right? So taking this whole journey, that's the very idea. You put so many hours of effort, you endure cold and mosquito and insect bites, and by simply traveling for many hours, walking on foot, you reach the destination, and when you reach there, you have a sense of earning it. You have earned that gift that you receive. Right? So that way, when we think about pilgrimage, we can really understand this. So it's not about the destination. Many people try to find easy ways to get there, but they won't achieve anything by that. Instead, it's taking that whole journey. That journey will transform you. That journey will make you endure all the difficulties. That journey will make you stronger. Right? So that's the whole idea about attaining peace. It's not a destination. Instead, it's a journey. When you take that journey, when you walk that path for many months, many years, by the end of it, you will be a completely different person. Right? So that's why it says it's not about the treasure, but who you are to become. Actually, I think this is a quote based on the world famous novel Alchemist. Right? So it says it's not about the treasure, but who you are to become. That's the very idea of this practice or the path of Buddha. Let's say a beginner, they are introduced to mindful practice and they get started. They do their walking, they do their sitting. That way, they start on their practice. And as soon as they get started, they come with so many complaints. They are saying, I have many distractions, thoughts in my mind. A lot of thoughts are there, thinking about various matters, planning the future. That way my mind is full of chaos. My mind is full of thought. I can't do this. How to get rid of these thoughts? That way they are complaining. But they just started the practice. Right? As soon as they start, they want to get rid of the thoughts. They want it to be easy. They want it to be like some kind of a high state that you get from a drug. Right? So that very approach is wrong. Your mind is all over the place. Your mind is full of thoughts, distractions. That's why you start your practice. And as soon as you started, can we expect the mind to be different? That's not how it works. You have trained this mind in a negative way for many decades, and that's what you see in meditation. You see the results of your negative training. You see how you have maintained your mind. It's full of chaos, full of garbage. Right? So transforming this will take time and effort. It's not a destination. Like I'll have a peaceful mind one day. That's not how it works. Instead, by walking this path, by taking this journey, you will transform your mind gradually. With each and every experience, you will get an opportunity to transform it. Right? So that's the very idea. That's how the practice works. Otherwise, no point in complaining about the thoughts. No point in saying that I can't feel the calm within me. All those things, you have to earn them. You have to put time and effort and gradually earn them. We just finished a retreat here, a 4-day retreat. And there were probably 50 or so new people. Few foreigners were also there. Right? Maybe half of the crowd was new to the practice. So we gave instructions, we practiced, and they wrote reports about their experience. And all the 4 discussions, they had probably 25-30 reports every day. Right? So we couldn't answer all of them, but we did maybe 15 or so daily. And those reflection reports, basically we gave the idea that you start with this chaotic mind. Transformation or the change is gradual. Right? So this is the path. This is how you do it. But you have to earn it gradually. And many people, they accepted. They put time and effort towards their practice. Enduring many difficulties. Feeling emotional pain. Feeling bodily pains. They can't maintain the posture. Right? So that way, enduring many difficulties, they kept on practicing. And towards the 2nd day, 3rd day, 4th day, you can see many of them are talking about progress. They are saying, I started without knowing what meditation was. And after practicing for 3 days, now I feel I can be mindful. Now I feel a higher level of peace within. Now I can easily come back to the breath after getting distracted. Right? So that way, most of the newcomers, by spending few days, they could identify the practice is strengthening and they can be mindful easily. And according to their mindfulness, they start to feel a certain level of peace within. Right? So that's how the change will happen. Otherwise, just simply wishing these thoughts will go away, it won't do it. Right? These thought processes, we have encouraged them for many decades. We talk non-stop. If you are not talking, then the family members would think that you are protesting something. It feels like the silence is a protest. Now, in those Western countries, sometimes they have silent protest. They hold a signboard giving some message, and they are not shouting. They simply stand there with a poster, flyer. Even in Sri Lanka recently, there were few people protesting silently, supporting the education reforms. Right? So that way, silence feels like a protest. Especially when you are among your family members. If you are not talking, then it feels like something is wrong. This person is mad. What is wrong? They might ask. Right? So that way, we have encouraged non-stop talking. That's how we have survived all these years. Right? Even in this world, most of the hatred is based on talks or the words. It's not the actions mainly. If you go on internet, a lot of hatred is there. That is completely based on the words. They simply do the YouTube channels blaming everyone. And they are called influencers. They try to influence people by blaming everyone. And gradually they have a following as well. Right? Even the comments. Most of the hatred, it's in the comment section. Right? Thousands and thousands of comments are there spreading hatred. Right? So in this new world, it's mainly the words that create most of the hatred. Of course, actions are there, the wars are there, but most of the conflicts started with the words. Right? So no wonder you have so many thoughts, inner chatter, commentary within you. Because for many decades you have been talking non-stop, thinking non-stop, inner chatter non-stop. Right? All of them, they are parts of talking. It feels like we just talk with our mouth. No. The talking starts within. The inner chatter, it's part of the talking. The thoughts, they are the initial stage of talking. Even feeling something, experience something. That's the very basic level of talking. For example, let's say you hear a beautiful bird song. Your attention goes towards this sound and you see the details in it. You see the sound. Those two steps, they are identified as the very basic level of talking. You direct your attention towards a certain object and you see the details of it. It is called initial thought and sustained thought. Initial thought is you simply direct your attention towards it. Sustained thought is simply experiencing this object and identifying it. For example, a bird song. Right? So that way that's identified as the minimum, the most primary level of talking. There's a foreigner who is from France, these days residing in Nissarana, and in his report he was saying, Bante, all these birds in the forest, they are talking in French. He could deduct meanings of those bird songs, bird sounds. So it doesn't give any meaning to us because those birds, all these years, they have been talking in French. Right? So this foreigner, he figured it out. He's saying these birds, they are talking in French. Right? Unfortunately, we didn't know French, so we couldn't catch it. Right? So he directed his attention towards that sound, and suddenly he experienced it as some words in his known language. Right? So those two steps are identified as initial and sustained thought. And that's how we experience the world. That is the minimum level of talking. That's how the talking starts. Right? And based on that, thoughts will appear. Okay, this bird is singing in French. The thoughts will appear. Then the inner chatter, it will grow into inner chatter. He might sing along with the birds. And suddenly, it comes out as words from his mouth. He come to the interview and he say, okay, the birds are singing in French. Right? So that way you can see many stages of talking even before a single word is uttered. Right? Inside our mind, many stages are there. And I came across this article recently, and they are saying a deaf person from birth, right? This person, a deaf person from birth, they are not necessarily mute. That's what that article said, right? Because deaf from birth, so this person, he hasn't heard even a single word. In his lifetime, he hasn't heard even a single word. Right? So without hearing, how to utter it? That's difficult. Right? Or when in our childhood, after hearing the words from the parents, from the grandparents, we start uttering them. That's how the process works. Right? So this deaf person from birth, he hasn't heard a single word in his lifetime. But that article is saying, although he is deaf from birth, he isn't necessarily mute. Most of the deaf people, they are mute because they haven't heard a single word. But if you go through those speech therapy, nowadays they are training the deaf people to speak. Sometimes they feel the vibrations of the mouth. Even someone is uttering a word, they simply put their palm against the mouth and feel the vibrations. Then they put the palm against their mouth and try to copy that. So they are copying the vibrations. Or other ways, they observe the lip movements and they try to copy those lip movements. Right? So the speech therapy can make them talk. Not all of them, probably if they have some issue with the talking part of the brain, then it won't work. But it says, although the person is deaf, that person is not necessarily mute. Right? The speech therapy can make them talk. So when they talk, what are they copying? They are simply copying those vibrations. They are simply copying the movements of the lips. Right? So it says, a deaf person, in his mind, he doesn't have the usual inner chatter. Like the commentary, somebody is talking within us, right? That type of inner chatter is not there. But still, a different form of inner chatter is there as lip movements. So they picture, or there is a like a movie that plays in his mind about all the lip movements, right? So that works as his inner chatter. It's not a voice. Instead, it's an image or video. That way, this person is also experiencing the world, right? So that video and the lip movements, the imagery within mind, that is initial and sustained thought. You direct your attention towards this image or clip, and you can feel the lip movements, right? So although we have different minds, although our minds are really unique, the foundation of this is simply initial and sustained thought. And we have a variety of inner chatter within us. Some people plan with images. Some people plan with feelings. Some people plan with the voices within. Right? So that way, the minds are really complicated, different, but somehow these thoughts or these initial sustained thoughts, these inner chatter, these feelings, they are there. Right? So that's how the thoughts are created. That's how the inner chatter is created. And finally, it is uttered through your mouth. Right? So these processes, they are complicated. You can't really expect them to change overnight. It won't work. So the whole idea of this path is simply to transform gradually. And it depends on what you experience. When you hear this message, when you start your practice, from the very first day, whatever the things that you are experiencing in your lives might bring you closer to the practice. Some experiences might take you away from the practice. Right? So whatever we are experiencing on the path, they too become a part of our path. Let's say you listen to this talk and you go out, you go to get groceries. And during that process, you experience something that we just talked about. And that very experience will hit you. And that very experience also becomes a part of your path. I remember one time we did a similar program like this. And in that, we were talking about a certain object in mind. I can't really remember the terminology that we used. Some Dhamma concept, some teaching that talks about how the hatred or the anger is generated in the mind. So after the talk, one person came next week and he was talking, Bante, you were talking about this last week. And although I listened, I didn't properly understand it. But during the past week, I came across a certain incident that threatened some injury. And due to that, I really understood what you were talking about. During past few days, I could feel that very incident in my mind. Whenever that incident comes to the surface, I feel hatred. I feel anger arising. So repetitively that incident came to my mind over last few days. That person was telling. Right? So that way, even being here, being a part of this program, even that helps. Listening to this, going out and experiencing something that is related to it, that helps. Right? So that way, we are gradually walking on our path. Right? That very path will transform us. The things that you are experiencing in your life, those incidents will transform you. Those incidents will make you a different person. Those incidents might bring you closer to the practice. Right? So that's the very path. You are putting time and effort, and gradually these experiences, these programs, these discussions, your meditation, everything gradually makes you a different person. Right? So in a way, it's not a destination. It's about the path. It's about the journey. Without taking this journey, you won't be ready for that gift that you are to receive. Walking this journey, taking this journey, that's how you will be ready. These experiences will make you a different person. Each and every experience counts. Each and every session that we attend, it counts. Each and every meditation session, it counts. Each and every discussion counts. Although you are in a, let's say, 1 hour program, 1 hour discussion, you won't take everything, you won't remember everything. Instead, you might remember few words only. But those few words, they count. Right? Those few words will transform you a little. Then again you go, you live your usual life, and suddenly an incident makes you think about the practice. Then that very incident transforms you. Then in your meditation, you experience how the thought processes work. That very experience transforms you. Right? So that way, little steps, bits and pieces gathered here and there, and by simply walking this path for many months, for many years, one day you will be a totally different person. And that very transformation makes you ready to receive this gift. Right? That's how you can really earn it. Otherwise, it's the gift that is given to a person who is not ready to accept it. Although this precious gift is given, this person is not ready to accept it. Right? So what to do? Nobody can help. I remember sometimes when we do interviews, I give a certain advice, but the person who is listening, he is not ready to accept it. Right? So no point in mentioning that because the person is not ready. Although you give a gift, the receiver is not ready. Right? So doing interviews, teaching someone, you have to let them speak first. Right? You give the very basic guidelines about the walking and sitting. Then you let them practice and come to you. And when they practice, they might have certain points in their report. And those points are your source for advice. Without listening to their points, you might advise, but they are not ready to receive your advice. If those points are there in the report, that means they have had a glimpse of it. Right? So you have to carefully listen to what they say And based on those points, you answer. Then the person is ready to receive it. You are using their own points to give them some feedback. Their own points means they are ready to accept this gift. Right? So that's how it works. Otherwise, no point in giving complicated answers because simply the person is not ready. You can give the most precious gift, but still he doesn't want to accept it. Right? It's like, a gem hits your feet, but you are blind and you don't see what it is. You simply think that something hit my feet and you just keep walking. Right? So that way, this very transformation will make you a different person. This very transformation will generate wisdom within. And when that happens, when that transformation happens, one day you will be ready to receive this gift. Right? So that's the topic. That's the very idea. If you want to walk this path, simply by walking it, simply by doing it for many months, many years, that's how the transformation will happen. That's why the quote says, it's not about the treasure, but who you are to become. By taking this journey, you become a totally different person. And that is the very treasure. Not some treasure that's in your destination. That's not the case. You become a totally different person in the process. And that's the very treasure that we are talking about. That's the very Nibbana that we are talking about. That's why it says it's not a destination. Instead, it's all about the journey. The journey is identified as Nibbana. Right? So that's it for today. Thank you for your participation.
Right. Thank you very much, Bhante, for that wonderful sermon. I hope that we all get the strength to walk the path and receive the gift properly, right? So with that, we are moving on to the next segment of the program, and that is the Q&A session and the reports. I would like to invite Dr. Anupama to take over and conduct the session.
Thank you, Therindu. Thank you, Bhante, for that wonderful sermon. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. Is the next section? Yes, thanks. Is a little reminder to everyone. Most of you who've attended these sessions are probably already familiar with this process, but we will highlight this anyway for the benefit of any newcomers or if anybody needs any reminders. So we encourage everyone to go to our YouTube channel where there are instruction videos on how to do mindful walking and mindful sitting. As you can see in the screen in front of you that Therindu has just shared, there's the links for both these videos. Once you have watched it, our advice is that you allocate a small time daily to practice mindful walking and sitting until you have completed a total of 2 hours of each practice. The next step that we encourage everyone to do is to write down your experience as a reflection report. It can start as a question or a statement, and if you like, you can have titles and describe what you experienced. For example, if there were any prominent sensations when you were walking, such as the feel of the texture of the ground underfoot, any pressure points felt, or how your body weight shifted from one leg to another. Similarly, when you're sitting, you can describe the sensation of pressure points, the sensation of the in and outgoing breath, either abdominally or through your nostrils, etc., can be described. Once this is done, we invite you to send the report either via Google Form or the email that is displayed in front of you. And this will then be read at each session where Bhante will kindly give his advice and guidance. Thank you. I will now move on to reading today's reports. We have a couple of reports. Report number 1. Mindful walking. At the beginning, feet movements were prominently felt. Body weight shifted in a familiar pattern. Sometimes attention moved to breathing, sounds, clothes touching the body, cold breeze on the skin, etc., but would return to feet movements again. After a while, the sensation of the walking body was felt as a cycle. Noted thoughts arising and passing in the background at times. Walked for 35 minutes. Mindful sitting. Sat in a comfortable position. Prominent breath noted near nostrils. Attention was on familiar rhythm of in and out breath. Seated quietly felt familiar. Sense of peace in the body and mind. Like nothing to look for. Nothing to actively do. A sense of ease in observing changing phenomena of body and mind. Boredom appeared, and energy drop noticed. Breath subtle now. Boredom noticed again. Fragments of images and thoughts floated by. These observations are becoming familiar. Prominent breath noticed again with a long breath. Arising and passing phenomena observed with breath, boredom, peace, and pain. Sat for 50 minutes. Mindfulness during the day. Difference between formal practice and day-to-day life seems narrowing. Sometimes when sitting at work desk, the attention moves to breathing, or when walking down the stairs, the attention naturally moves to feet movements. What felt like firm separations between formal and informal practice are blurring. When proliferations took place and mindfulness arose afterwards, there was no judgment in mind, only the calmness of observation. An experiment done few times last week to follow proliferations back to the starting point of thinking. Some habits of the mind are crazy. For example, a mundane thought comes to mind. Then it connects with a past event. Then some more related thinking pops up in the mind. Then it follows some more thoughts. And before long, the mind is firmly under control of proliferations. An upcoming training course has preoccupied the mind since last few days. Previous participants say it is difficult. Mind has absorbed that and tried proliferating into fear of failure, avoidance, sense of imposter syndrome, etc. Even in the middle of this, the mindfulness comes up, noticing a sensation in the body, rhythm of breath, or accepting fear of failure as a thought that arises and passes away. Dear Bhante, look forward to your valuable feedback. Thero Saranai. End of report 1.
Yes, thank you for presenting that report. Now you can see a lot of details in it. The details of the formal practice and the details of informal practice, right? So all those details, all those experiences, they count. Without them, your path won't be complete. Without all the anxiety about the upcoming training session, your path won't be complete. Without all the proliferations that somehow created in the mind, your path won't be complete. Without all the experiences, troubles, difficulties that you go through, your path won't be complete. Right? So you get the idea. This becomes the path. This is how you can transform yourself. Without them, you won't be able to do it. Right? So we encourage people not to hate or not to repulse the things in their life. Instead, those very things, they become the sources of your insight. Because you can't simply go and walk somebody else's path. That's not possible, right? All the experiences, all the troubles, all the people in our own life, in our unique life, makes the path, right? So that's how it works. That's why we say not to hate, not to suppress the things in your life. Instead, face those situations mindfully. You are not always successful, but if you approach today you can do little better, and tomorrow you can do even a little bit more better, right? So that way, gradually you become better at it. You lose yourself, you make mistakes, you are human. That too is part of this path, right? But from your mistakes, next day you'll be better prepared, right? That way, we take these challenges day by day and we try to navigate them better. And when you approach your practice repetitively, when you develop your mindfulness, of course, you will be able to navigate them better, right? That's the very idea. I remember somebody mentioned in this very program, it was probably more like a summary that was written at the end of 2025. And that person was saying, I started my practice in 2022. Back then, I was in a whole struggle. My mind was all over the place. I couldn't pay attention to a single breath even. That type of distracted mind I had. But now, in December 2025, I feel that I am much better off. I feel that I can be mindful for many breath cycles in my sitting session, many walking steps in my walking session. I have improved a lot, and I don't remember when this change has happened. You don't remember when this change has happened because the change is gradual. Every day, every session, every experience, it is changing a little. You don't see that little change, right? Suddenly, after years, one day it hits you and you realize, I am a totally different person. The state of my mind is totally different compared to the state I started, right? That's how the practice works. So you are on the path. Don't try to reject any of those experiences that you have in your life. Simply make them a part of your practice or a part of your path.
Thank you, Bante. I will now move on to report number 2. Venerable Swamin Wahanse, mindful walking. Walked freely few times. Stood at the edges and observed posture as a statue. Began to walk, labeling feet as left and right. Felt hardness of the floor. Further, could identify roughness of the floor. Thoughts appeared. Could observe 9 footsteps in a length. Mindful sitting. Sat and observed posture as a statue. Observed belly movements and counted. Could observe 4 motions in a length. Theruvan Saranai, Thum Swamin Wahanse, end of report 2.
Yes, so you can see, you can observe 9 steps continuously, right? Once again, it gets distracted. But once again, you can come back and observe 9 more steps, right? That's how it works. It doesn't matter how many times you get distracted. You always have the option of coming back to the steps. Same goes for the sitting. Same goes for your daily life. we encourage you to feel your body in your daily life, right? It doesn't always have to be the breath. Instead, whatever the activity you are doing, there is always a prominent sensation. Brushing, you can feel the brush. Eating, you can feel the food, right? So that way, we can approach our formal meditation, walking, sitting, as well as our daily life mindfully, and we continue our practice and become better little by little. Now, there was this recent article that said every day 1% better, right? 1%, just 1%. Every day you just become 1% better. And it said, after a difficult calculation, it said that after 1 year, you will be 37 times better from your original state. Because daily 1%, right? Then next day, 1% added on top of that initial stage plus 1%. It's a complicated calculation. Anyway, after 1 year, you will be 37 times better. And it says after 2 years, you'll be 1,500 times better. I'm just rounding up. 1,500 times better. And after 3 years, you'll be 50k times better. 50,000 times better. After 4 years, you'll be 2 million times better. After 5 years, you'll be 77 million times better. That's what the article said, right? So you can see simply 1% better every day. And in 5 years, you'll be 77 million times better. Probably it feels too much, right? So don't be 1% better, even be 0.1% better. Every day you make yourself 0.1% better, right? And in 5 years, in 7 years, how many times that'll multiply into? That's the very idea. That's why even Buddha says, do this for 7 years. And you'll be a totally different person. When we say 7 years, people feel shocked. They say, that's a long, long time, no Bhante. Yes, true. That's how the change will happen. So remember this 1% rule. Every day, if you can be 1% better, just 1% better, then in a year, you will be 37 times better. In 5 years, you will be 77 million times better. Right? So that's how the math works. Right? So just continue and try to be little better every day. That's the very idea.
Thank you, Bhante, for the feedback and those valuable and encouraging words, actually, putting into context our practice and why we should continue on this journey consistently. It's now time for Q&A. If anyone has a question or a comment to make, please raise your Zoom hand and we will invite you to unmute yourself. There are no Zoom hands raised so far. I was just wondering, Bhante, if I could make a comment. I've heard some, oh, yes, we've got Samantha actually. Samantha, if you can unmute yourself, please. Oh, Samantha has sent a report. Sorry, Panchini. Okay, so I've got a couple of messages. One is from Panchini saying that she sent a report via Google form. We will have a look at that, Panchini. I assume we haven't read it today. I will liaise with the others and see if we can arrange for that to be read next week. Apologies for that. Samantha, if you can unmute yourself, please, and ask your question.
Oh, thank you, Anupa. Sorry, I couldn't unmute. That's why I was struggling, and I was just writing something in the chat. But you had a comment to make. Are you sure you don't want to go ahead? Maybe afterwards. Okay. Thank you, Anupama. Yeah, Bhante, it's just like a bit of advice actually. It's I was seeking. It was thank you for today's talk. It was really important, and I really valued it, especially learning from my experience, and that really I'm beginning to notice that it's my experience in my life that is teaching me how to improve and applying the Dhamma. So I've been trying to do that. So in a recent scenario, I'll just give a gist so I won't take too much time. I've been having, unfortunately, a disagreement with my neighbor, and we've been getting along really well, and it's the usual thing. The fence broke, and he's putting up the fence now. And throughout all these years, 20 odd years, I've been putting plants along the fence on my side. But now he's come to the situation where he's taken the fence off, and his border, his boundary, he's worked it out, and it's coming straight. And one of my plants, which I've really got attached to, because it's been growing for 10 years and etc. So it's in the way. So I'm telling him now, can you just be a bit careful not to split it, break it, etc. You can just, go around it or do something with it, But he's saying, well, I'm not sure, if it's in the way, the boundary, I'll have to, do something, I'll do my best and all this stuff. So he wasn't being very amiable, agreeable to a certain extent. So I'm just wondering, Bhante, how can I approach this without having hatred towards him if he snaps my plant, the one that I've been growing for all these years, and without having any anger? So I'm trying to apply. There were some incidents I let go, and I've been, applying the metta, and it's worked to a certain extent. So and I feel peace in my mind. But when it comes to that really crucial point, how would I approach this? And how I can feel, how would I was thinking that, well, Buddha would be he wouldn't have any anger roots, so he would completely be, metta. But in my case, with my roots of still the anger and hatred were still there, how can I approach this problem, Bhante?
Yes, so I would encourage you to approach it with awareness. Right, we can't really expect a situation where there is no anger. It's natural, your reactions are natural, your reactions are valid, your reactions are human, right? So don't try to suppress them. Simply with awareness, you have to work. You have to work, or you have to navigate through these emotions with awareness. And sometimes you lose yourself. That too is part of the practice. That too is a learning experience, right? So many people, they try to suppress the anger. They think, I would prefer a mind without anger. But how can you get rid of anger without seeing it properly, without identifying its roots? It's like the plant that you're talking about. It has grown for many eons, right? And have a very nice system of roots underneath, right? Or in order to get rid of this plant of anger, you can't simply suppress it and expect it to disappear. That's not how it works. Instead, the roots are there, it will always grow back, right? So you have to remove the roots. How to remove the roots? You simply let the anger come and observe it or approach it with awareness. Time after time you fail. You become a slave to anger. But that's okay. That too is part of the process. right? Those experiences are also teaching you. So gradually, when you figure out the way to work with anger, when you figure out the way to approach it with awareness, that's how you can get rid of the roots. Otherwise, people just simply say metta, apply metta when you're angry, but it never works. Right? I remember a certain incident that happened here. Somebody was angry due to some reason, and later, probably on the next day, this person went to the receiver of the anger and did a confession. So this person said, even when I see you, I get angry. I'm that irritated towards you. Right? So that was the confession that he made. Then the receiver, he said, Buddha's advice for anger is simply to spread metta. So you do that. Right? That was receiver's message. And this person got even more angry due to that response. Right? Everyone knows that you are supposed to apply metta, but it never works. When you're angry, it never works. Right? It's not easy. It's not that easy. Right? So this person somehow went and made a confession, although it was not a really confession, but somehow he made it, and the other person's reaction, right, added more kerosene to the fire. Right? So that's how it works. You are supposed to apply metta when you're angry, but can you do it? That's the question, right? So what we recommend is awareness. You approach these things with awareness. You approach your thoughts, emotions with awareness. And sometimes you fail, and that's okay. It's okay because it's a part of the process.
Thank you, Bhante. That's really amazing, because I really feel metta doesn't come at the moment. I really need to be aware of how I'm feeling, and I'll watch it and obviously not react. I'll slowly and respond when I'm calmer and ready. So I have to make sure I don't react, Bhante.
And one day you will lose yourself and you will react, right? But
Yes,
maybe the
problem.
neighbor will also react, right? But that very incident will be another learning opportunity. You will see the results
and that has happened.
Yes, so you see the results of that as well, right?
Yes,
so
Bhante.
don't try to deny them, just understand they too are part of this. And maybe the results will tell you that you have to approach this differently in the future. Maybe instead of reacting, you have to respond. Or some people, they figure out simply reacting with your emotions, it helps for them, maybe, right? I don't know. So you have to figure out your own balance.
Thank you, Bhante. Yes, it is helping. So I've learned the reaction didn't work. So now I responded, and it's sort of getting a little bit better. So I'm being mindful. Thank you, Bhante. Sadhu.
Yes, with some neighbors, the reactions would work. So we don't know. So that's why I said it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Samantha, for sharing that. It's certainly very helpful and venerable, Bhante. In fact, I have a confession to make. I think a few weeks ago, I had a situation where my mind was really turbulent. I got really angry, and I reacted as well with verbally. I think when I think back, some of it I can't even recall because my mind was so turbulent. What I even said. But I'm pretty sure I said some things that were in reaction. And I certainly, first I had to make myself comfortable with the fact that I reacted like that. And once I accepted it, I think, there were a lot of lessons to learn, which, as Bhante says, may have had a good outcome in the end, actually. So thank you for sharing all that.
Yes, so in a way, it's, good to let all those emotions out sometimes, because always staying silent, always bearing the things, it won't work all the time. Sometimes you have to make sure that you let them out in a controlled manner. But can we do it? That's the question, right? If you are too much pent up, then you have too many suppressed emotions and you can't let them out in a controlled manner, right? So we don't, we would encourage you to not wait that long where you have too much pent up anger or energy or emotions, right? So it's good to let them out every now and then in a controlled manner, and those things can help. Even Tarindu appeared. He is also, I think, practicing.
I couldn't resist
Thank
but say this. So I mean, I have a little secret that I have not told many people. So I have this Facebook page that I've created only for myself. There's no followers, only me. So whenever I want to say something, I'll go and put it there. So it's out there. So no one's watching it. But now I've seen like there are a few people who have started following me. I don't know how. And I feel sad about them. They are not my friends or family, so they have no idea what I'm talking about. But I'll put my piece out. Then I am like, it's out there, so I feel relaxed. And then later on, I see that they have started debating about that as well now. So I'm thinking to make it a private page, but that helps. So I wanted to put that my secret out.
No, keep it open. So this week's homework would be to find that Facebook page. Yeah. It's gonna take a lot of time, but if you can come up with the page next time, we'll give you a gift. Yes, so somehow releasing them, letting them out, it helps. Some people they let them out, with music. Some people they let them out with words. Some people they do some other activity like gardening. So I know a person, if that person is gardening, then the family members know that they shouldn't get nearby, right? Because that's an act of letting them out the emotions, right? So that way, somehow we would encourage you to not accumulate too much emotions, too much pent up energy, which would destroy the situations, because you can't let them out in a controlled manner because you have too much pent up energy. But anyway, letting them out can have constructive outputs. As Anupama mentioned, maybe you get an opportunity to discuss this with the related people. They will also come and talk to you probably after the incident. Why are you behaving like that? Why are you reacting like that? Then you can tell your part, right? So that way, sometimes letting them out helps, and it can come to a constructive situation, but you have to make sure that you let them out in a little bit of controlled manner. Otherwise, what happens is that you cross a certain boundary and it's too difficult to return, right? It's not easy to return. So that balance is delicate. But as Tarindu mentioned, we can have our own ways, our own tools and techniques that works, right? So if that anonymous page is helping him, so why take it down? No need, because it's out there, nobody knows. You are simply managing your emotions with it, right? That's what most people do. They call themselves YouTube influencers. But what they simply do is their own therapy. They blame the government, they blame everyone. They are saying that this is not going to work. It's their own way of managing their emotions. I don't know whether that helps them or not, whether they are getting better with it. feeling at ease, but somehow most people do it, and they are called influencers. So maybe even some people are identifying Tarindu as an influencer.
Thank you very much.
I hope
That
not.
is- So I think we've now reached the time to wrap up. That is a very useful, helpful, practical session and discussion on so many levels. Thank you to everyone for your participation. I now will hand over to Tharidu to conclude the session.
Thank you, Honorable Bhante, again for that wonderful session, and thank you, Doctor, for conducting the Q&A and reading out the reports. So with that, I think we have come to the end of today's session. So on behalf of the organizers, I would like to thank Venerable DhammaKusala Thero for his continued guidance on this program. It's a busy day for Bhante, Saturdays, and we appreciate Bhante's efforts and making the time for our problems and trying to teach us mindfulness. And without forgetting Chief Abbot of Nissarana, Vanaya, who initiated this program, Venerable Bhante Dhamma Jiva Mahathero. May these merits help them in improving their own practice as well. So I would like to thank all the organizers who are maintaining and managing this program. There's a lot happening behind the scenes. So thank you very much, and I would like to thank everyone who participated in today's program and those who are joining via the YouTube live stream and those who are going to watch this program later. Thank you very much. And until we see you next week, I would like to wish you a mindful week ahead. Thank you.